This is Crimson 606. Thank you for watching my video. Also, you can these social media platforms. And great art, hit my TV up. And finally, support my Patreon. Thanks. Hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry, it's been Let me get into shot. It's been a long day. I was supposed to have started like a minute ago. I'm just fucking tired. I am fucking tired, and I don't know what to say. So it's Monday night Smite. You know what it is. I review a video. I actually play Smite. That's why we get the term Monday Night Smite. And if you haven't actually watched some of these videos, yes, it used to be called the Half-Ass Show, and I just get tired of coming up with puns and labels and shit. So it's just Monday Night Smite, my gaming and commentary. Lo- oh, Lotus Pele skin. Okay. Um, yeah. How's everybody doing today? I kind of got back to the whole working 10 hours a week. And it's funny. It's like I missed the one day, and then I had I guess, half a day on Friday. So Wednesday, we just had a damn she thick. Like, maybe I'm not drawn right, but it's just like a lot of these people are doing these models where the women are thick shit. I guess I never really liked skinny women like that much. Like, I like women with meat on their bones. I guess that's just my thing. Okay, yeah. I've actually taken a mask off or the face off. Face off. Oh god. And it was actually pretty fun that I wasn't that god damn this weekend was fucking awesome. I spent the Saturday afternoon with Saturday most of the day with a great friend, great new friend. Although I'm kind of miss my old friend too. That's just a different story. Um, and I was on the Utah Outcast. Oh my god, that was a fun time. I kind of felt like I don't know. And this is maybe because I'm just used to only doing this shit with myself. I kind of felt that I was just too bombastic, too overexcited. But man, that conversations that we had for their podcast was fucking awesome. It's just like just having those conversations when I'm not just talking to a camera. Um, it's a conversation between people, and it's just fucking. It's actually fucking fun. Like, um, it was awesome. I just felt like I wouldn't say out of place. I think my enthusiasm because I was fucking tired was just like it was a bit much. But you know what? I will say this. I will say this. I probably should have been chugging fucking like simply lemonade and like simply orange mango juice because I was tired. I was chugging this shit. But I was tired, like, and I needed something to keep me up because it started at 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. my time to like 2:30. So I was I was trying to stay up. So yeah, that was how that worked. So it was actually fun, and they already released two clips. It was just awesome. So, um, shit. Let's get into the video. How are you guys doing today? I'm trying to maintain a commitment of making sure that when I set my time, I'm gonna actually be doing it. Like literally, I set God damn it, the Monday Night Smite, and because shit because Restream was having a deal on motherfucking Black Friday. I was able to get Restream at a cheap rate. Yay! Woohoo! I mean, like I got a love hate relationship with Restream, and I think that's my thing. And I just want to check one thing. I know I'm live with my. All right, come on, my channel. I'm sorry, guys. All right, cool. I am live. That was how that worked. So, cool. It was actually fun, and they already 20-second delay. Who would have thought? So, oh, guys, come on, if you can, I want to actually put this out here. Help me out. Not putting that up, and let's do this. Opening a new window. Bring this over here. Sorry, guys. I'm just making sure that I pull something up. Thank you guys for your patience. And I'm going to get into the video. Wow, like, I think everybody's slow today. Did any of y'all do any shopping for Black Friday or the Cyber Monday? So anyway, I just want to actually pull this up. CloudBot. Oh, he's trying to get me. Dolph trying to get me. Not today, motherfucker. Not today. Dolph is really trying to throw it in, man. Oh, no. Shit. I'm sorry, guys. Timers. All right, cool. All right, so that's the thing. Shit, Achilles for real, dog. Damn it. God damn it. No, you're not getting me, motherfucker. Not today. Okay. All right. So while I'm getting my ass handed to me, let me go ahead and start the video. So if you actually saw the video yesterday that I did on my 3 platforms, you actually see that this was about Richard Wolff. He's actually at Google. This is about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So that's the thing. And if you want to actually catch up with it, I want to ask, please, guys, go check out my video yesterday. It was only about an hour and a half. So if you want to see part 1, check out that video. So let's continue.
We're still trying. We're still debating it. We live with a system that periodically throws millions of people out of work, undoes their family life, undermines their education.
Commercial.
Nations transform. It's unbelievable what we expect and what we accept. And the other thing capitalism has done, stunningly, is produce an inequality that is mind-bending. Of course, it's easy.
So, and this is continuing from the part that he was talking about yesterday, where in capitalism, it's the instability is baked into the system because it is something that no one has ever been able to resolve. That instability where people they know it's there, and it's just like just a loss of jobs and incomes. And if you were in a relationship with somebody as stable as capitalism, well, some people may actually find that pretty exciting. It wouldn't be fucking good for your health, but some people would find that fucking pretty exciting. Anyway, let's continue.
Easy to see why, if the boards of directors and the major shareholders decide what to do with the profits and give a lot of it to themselves, bingo, we've explained inequality. No mystery here. We don't need to do a lot of studies. That's been answered, that question. But the problem is it's the system that produces the inequality, not this or that law, or this or that rule, or this or that political candidate. This is a systemic problem, like our instability. The agency that keeps track of inequality in the world, the best one, is Oxfam in England. Some of you may know about it. They issue a report every year about world inequality. The famous number this last year was that something on the order of 86 of the richest people in the world together have more wealth than the bottom half of the population of the planet. That's about 3.5 billion people.
So if you actually do that fucking math, when you say 86, 86, let's try to do the math. And I'm trying to commentate on a video and play a video game, but let's just say 3.5 billion. What can that equate to? So 86 times 2, that's 176. Ooh, that's actually pretty fucking analogous. So we'll say that'd be 2. I don't know. It's thousands of times the amount of people that they held enough wealth for. Let's just leave it at that and call it a day. It sounds ridiculous, and I know it probably is hundreds of thousands of people of magnitude. Actually, it's millions of people of magnitude. Because yeah, that's the best way to do the math. It's millions of times of magnitude that of people who motherfuck you, motherfuck you. Oh fuck yes, fuck you Achilles. But yeah, it's millions of times the magnitude of the people who are down and out that own like so much of the fucking so much of the world, and it's just like it's a shame. I'm sorry. One of my crazy friends has sent me a great page. The person who sent me that, oh my god, don't get me excited. I'm almost excited. Don't do that to me. But let's continue. Let's continue. Oh my god, like only my friends, my Facebook friends would. I fuck it. God damn it. I fucking have some of the. I've cultivated my friends in such a way that they're fucking awesome. They know me all too well. Shit, Achilles, but let's go.
Folks, this is a level of inequality that takes us back to the pyramids. Capitalism's achievement is a level of inequality and instability that should have long ago made people question, what are we doing, staying in, living with, accepting, especially uncritically, a system that works like this? But now a personal note. If any of this strikes you as remarkable, or new, or maybe hopefully even interesting, I'm a product of the American economic system, and I'm a product of the American education system. I was born in the United States, lived here all my life. This economic analysis I've just summarily presented to you in 40 minutes, I had to acquire on my own. Why? Because the institutions of, they like to call it higher learning, I always used to wonder what then would be lower learning, then put it aside.
Higher learning. No, I'm joking. Shout out to the Method Man and Red Man. What was that? 2000 video, Higher Learning. That was fucking awesome movie, especially with Bill Franklin in the bong. Oh, that was fucking awesome. But let's continue.
Institutions of higher learning. They didn't teach me any of this. Let me stress that. None of it. So let me tell you about my education, because it'll help drive the point home. As an undergraduate, I went to Harvard. I graduated magna cum laude from Harvard. That's supposed to mean something. Then I went to Stanford out in Palo Alto and got a master's degree in economics. And then I switched because my professor that I loved there died, and finished at Yale, where I got another master's in economics, a master's in history, and a PhD in economics. I'm loaded with the right degrees from the right places, aren't I?
And that's fucking okay. All degrees aside, all the degrees aside, and all the jokes aside about it, it's fucking awesome to see that people would continue learning on such a level. But some of the critique that you actually see for these things, it kind of damning with fucking fake praise. But let's continue.
Now listen to this. Never in my education in those three institutions, in an economics course, was I ever assigned one word of Karl Marx. There is no excuse, no justification, nothing. You know what that's about? Fear. My professors were afraid to assign it, to read it, to think about it, to discuss it, or to debate it.
Thank you, McCarthy. Those McCarthy trials. Thank you for scaring the shit out of people. But, you know, capitalism got to capitalize. And it got so bad that it fucking killed, like, it fucking even killed Keynesian economics, which, for all intents and purposes, kind of almost stopped a lot of the shit that was happening from the rise and fall of capitalism, the whole fucking instability that you do. It mediated that shit. But because people were so scared of being accused of being a socialist, you saw that shit like go down. But let's continue.
It was the Cold War when I went to school. And we,
See?
the Americans, were arrayed against the Russians, like some are today, and others clearly not so much. Well, it's very hard to keep this straight.
So, you know what? That fucking kills me, right? Like people hate. These are the people 10, 15 years ago that be like, no, fuck. Like these are the people when Obama literally said like, hey, after the elections are over, I may have my hands free to do some other shit. And they was like, oh, he's a traitor and all that other good shit. But these are the same people that praise fucking Donald Trump for getting his money from the Russians. His fucking son even said that they do. But, you know, partisans got a partisan. Ain't that right? Let's continue.
You have to know what color, who's got what jersey, otherwise you get confused as to who the friends and allies are. It is very confusing. My professors were not confused, it was real clear. So we weren't taught anything about any of this. We were taught neoclassical economics. That's capitalism is wonderful, fixes itself, nothing to worry about. Go back to watching TV. And the Keynesians who said, no, there's something to worry about, let the government come in. But the notion that there was a critical alternative to this way of thinking, that came up with a different analysis and a different way of thinking and a different set of ideas of what we need to do next, oh no. None of my teachers ever said one word about it. Try to understand. This is like a taboo. They couldn't discuss it.
It's almost like what you actually saw when, like, let's just take a point that is actually near and dear to my heart. Hey, you have to have a unequivocally monogamous relationships, and anything worse than that is just like scary and dangerous. But the rise of polyamory and all this other good shit happened. So yay, like it's this whole you have to keep up with the tradition. Oh, you motherfucker. Oh, you motherfucker. But let's continue.
Some of you have been wondering why, when we have economic troubles here in the United States, we seem so clumsy about solving them. We have had to pretend in economics that we don't have any problems, that we don't have a fundamentally troubled system, that we don't have anything to worry about, which means you're not real good at fixing it when it breaks down. For that, you'd have to face that it has lots of flaws. You'd have to look at how it broke down before and see what it is that might be amiss. We don't. So you live in an economic system that is now run by people who have no idea about everything I just told you. It's painful. I've had to teach all my life the conventional, neoclassical, Keynesian, but I've also taught this other. I know what my colleagues do, but they don't understand what I do. And I'm not the only one, I'm not suggesting that, but I'm a critic of the system because it makes sense to me that a system that works in the way I've described deserves some criticism, and I even dare to suggest that intelligent folks like you could thrive on hearing the criticism and thinking about it.
So it's actually pretty awesome. This isn't the fuck. I'm sorry, I'm tripping because of this shit just happened. One of the things that you can't force people to actually accept, you can't force people to accept socialism, because by forcing someone to accept it, you actually create fucking capitalism. And that's the thing about the Keynesian situation. It's still fucking capitalism. It's still capitalism. That's all it is. It's still capitalism. But let's continue. They thought they was gonna get me.
Accept all of it? Of course not. But think about it, engage it. Come on, if you wanted to understand the family up the road that had 2 parents and 2 kids, would you decide to interview One of the two children, not two, especially if you knew that one of the children thought it was the best family in the world. The other child thought this was a basket case of psychological dysfunction. Probably most of you would understand you got to talk to both of the children, and then you make up your own mind. Hear what they have to say. Hear the people who think capitalism is the best thing since sliced bread, but maybe also take a dare. Listen to the people who think it's critical, who think it's a system that never could do what it had promised.
So, and this is like really, really key. Why are you only getting part of the story? What and that's a lot of what people are actually doing. They're only getting part of the story of how great capitalism is. They don't talk to people like me who have to work 10 hours a week because 10 hours a day because companies feel that they shouldn't have to hire new people because that'll cut into their bottom line even though they make a motherfucking profit. They only talk to the rich people in the bubble. But let's continue.
And finally, and I'm going to conclude with this, a system that is in no way necessary. What are we accepting? It's not inevitable. It never was. Oh, true, the people who like capitalism love to say it's the end of history, it's the final stage. But the people who articulated slavery said that. And the people who articulated feudalism said that. So of course the people who run capitalism say that. But the burden's on them. Every system we know of in human history has been born, evolved over time, and died.
So, and this is the thing. People, what is that? When you up, you can do no wrong, but when you down, you can do no right. A lot of people actually fall for that shit, especially when it comes to capitalism, because they think, oh no, it's working for me, so it should work for everybody. And it's just like, if it's not working for you, then there's something wrong with you. And it's just like, no, that's not how this shit works. Most of the success people have are ideally really because of fucking luck. But let's continue.
We know capitalism was born, and we know it's evolved. You know what the next stage is? Well, I won't go into that. You can figure that out. What would be an alternative? Well, in a way, everything I've said gives you the answer. If we have a system that's unstable, if we have a system that produces unspeakable inequality,
sorry guys,
a system that makes it profitable to fire large numbers of people, even if the social costs of their unemployment exceed the profits that the automation achieved. All of the things I've told you and many more.
Working on them guns.
Those are all, every one of them, the results of how decisions are made inside the productive units of our economy, the factories, the stores, and the offices, by a tiny group of people who are not accountable to the people they employ. The people they employ are the majority. The people who are not accountable are the minority. That's why it's not democracy. It's the antithesis. Well, then the solution jumps right out at you. Democratize the enterprise. Make the decisions something that is done one person, one vote. Everybody who works in an enterprise has an equal say in deciding what to produce, how to produce, where to produce, and what to do with the profits that they all helped to produce. What a wonderful, interesting idea. Democracy in the workplace. Just think of a society in which you live, but democracy where you work. If it was good for the one, maybe it's good for the other.
So, and this is the thing, and like, one of the things that, like, a lot of people have a fear that if workers actually had more power and more say, and we had to vote on more of the decisions being made, things would be slow and you won't have all the time to do the meetings and do your work. The first thing that would fucking happen, and I know it for a fucking fact, workers would choose to increase their pay but cut their hours to the point where they're making more money and working fucking less. So bam, there go the time argument. And you would also have, okay, you would also have where workers would actually shit, where workers will be able to decide, hey, I don't want this poisonous shit going on in my fucking neck of the woods and shit like that. It's just when you have that democratization, the only people that fear that are people who would benefit from being on top right now. But let's continue.
Maybe getting rid of the kings who told us what to do where we live is like getting rid of the board of directors who tells us what to do where we work. Because it kind of matters. Being at work is what you do most of the adult life you have, is going to work. If democracy is a value that means something to you, it should have been instituted long ago where you work, because that's where you spend most of your time.
This is like hitting me real hard at home because I leave my house at about 6:30 each morning. I don't get home to 6:30 at night. You goddamn right. I want more democratization in the fucking workplace because that's where I spend most of my time. You goddamn right. Fucking tired right now anyway. But let's continue.
Instead, you accept what? To live in a society you like to call democratic, even though the place where you spend most of your time is the antithesis of that, your workplace. The alternative is very old. Democratizing the workplace is not a new idea. It's ancient. Nowadays, it's called worker co-ops. So as good a name as any.
So, and like I brought this up to just some discussions that, just discussion with people. People, as much as I'm for unionization and much as I'm saying for like making sure that everybody can join a union is really a right. It's not a far right wing, but it is a right wing thing where employees can get together and petition a boss in order to say something. That's just a right wing kind of resolution to worker togetherness. Like the workers in a union really don't have any power, but the monopolize, I guess, selling power of their labor. But or you get workers who are a mixed board situation. That's more of the centrist idea. But we're gonna be honest with you. Worker owned co ops are a left version of something because there is less and less power to one specific head. And maybe we need to start having those conversations about how worker owned co ops are necessary to the freedom of a necessarily to the what is the phrase, necessary to the security of a free state. So let's continue.
What does it mean? A group of people getting together and making a decision. We're going to produce something. A software program, hamburgers, haircuts, it doesn't matter. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to be a collective. We're going together to decide how to produce, where to produce, when to produce, all of that. And we're going to debate it, and then we're going to make a decision by majority vote.
You know what? And this is like, god damn. Okay, so one of the key things that this is even before I really started getting into. a lot of left wing politics. You know, so last April, matter of fact, was the first time I actually did an art show where I was doing where I was selling my art, and I was kind of disappointed because the place that the event planner actually planned on they actually planned on me on, I had a 10 by 10 booth. The shit was like $450, but like right then and there I thought about actually, what if a group of artists got together and actually pooled their money to rent out a space, and that's what we will make our money from. Not necessarily, we will cover the cost for shit. Like, we'll cover the costs. A group of artists, everybody pays an equal amount. We'll come together, put our money together, and actually rent out a space. And with us renting out the space, nobody will be making money off of, you know planning or plotting to raise a space. It would be it'll be people just coming together and say, "Hey, we're going to start a convention, and the cost that you pay for this convention is, you know, free to get in." That would be awesome, and you make your money off of the things that you sell. And to me, like, man, sometimes these conventions that you go to, people be getting people find more in the event planners actually make more money in the actual planning versus the ticket prices, and it just it'd be awesome. And that's why when I heard of worker co-ops, I was like, oh, I can get behind that, because especially shit like that, it's it's fucking an awesome idea where people would pull their own resources together, and it's never somebody feel like they're getting shafted in order to make one person feel better. I'm rambling because I'm tired, because my fucking job doesn't allow me to make the decision if I want to work 10 hours or not here. But let's continue.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to run it that way. Human beings have been trying to do that for a long time. What you may not know is that human beings have done it often. You may not know that human beings are doing it right now, all over the place, including in the United States. And one of the reasons it's a perennial effort is because the systems that have existed, slavery, feudalism, capitalism, provoke people to be critical and to find their way, sooner or later, to this alternative. I'll give you just two examples.
Case in point, the example that I just said, because when you are just using the power of being a name in order to provide a service, instead of just providing that service, yeah, that leads people to want to do some different shit. But let's continue.
As I bring this to a close. The most famous example is a corporation in Spain. Some of you may have heard about it. It's called the Mondragon Cooperative Corporation. Here's the story of this company. In 1956, Spain, which is where this company exists and is based, Spain was a very poor country. It had gone through a horrific civil war, and then there was World War II. Spain was a poor country to begin with, and it was devastated by the Civil War, and then by World War II. So in 1956, it was a very poor country. And in the Basque region, that's the northern part of Spain, on the southern side of the Pyrenees Mountains that separate Spain from France, the Basque people, who are their own kind of ethnicity, if you like, they have their own language and culture, very, very poor. They're Roman Catholic, as are most people in Spain, and they had a local priest. And he made a famous joke one day in church. He said, if we wait to have jobs for some capitalist or some employer to come here. We'll all die of old age. So what I suggest, he said, is that we become our own employer. In other words, set up a worker co-op, which he did. 6 workers and a priest. Fast forward to today. Mondragon Corporation, Mondragon Cooperative Corporation, is the 7th largest corporation in Spain. It has 100,000 workers. It is the biggest success story of the Spanish economy in the last half century.
So just think about that. They're a worker-owned co-op that just said, "Hey, we're not going to wait around for somebody to come and invest in us. We're going to invest in ourselves. We're going to come in here and we're going to actually do things to make sure that we're taken care of, and we're going to make sure that everybody who comes in is taken care of." That's what we need as they created a community. That not that bullshit that you hear where, "Oh, you're part of the job, so we are like a family." No, they literally created a community. But let's continue.
Is a collection of 150 to 200, depending on how you count, worker co-ops. In every one of its businesses, it's a conglomerate, services, manufacturing, and so on. In every one of its businesses, the workers collectively decide all of these issues. What to produce, how to produce, where to produce. Stunningly successful. Outcompeted dozens of capitalist enterprises who could not make it work in competition with them. They're so successful now that they have their own university, the Mondragon University, which will teach courses to anybody who's interested in how to organize a co-op, how to finance a co-op, how to manage a co-op, how to deal with the personnel problems of co-ops, etc. It's a well-developed program. Very successful. 2 interesting rules that might excite you. Rule number 1, the workers together hire and fire and evaluate the managers. I know I have to let that sink in. In other words, it's the opposite of what you have. The workers decide whether the managers were successful, and if they weren't, they're gone.
So that's actually pretty interesting. You wouldn't get these situations where people that fail at one company end up being CEOs at another. You wouldn't get these instances where people would, as supervisors or managers, they actually feel that, no, you do my bidding. And you wouldn't get these people who look towards leadership as a way of doing less work. Um, One of and I can't say it's the same for the company I'm at now, but literally I've heard people at the different costs of the jobs that I've worked say, "I'm going to get off these phones so I won't have to deal with these people anymore." Never actually understanding that the reason why you would be in leadership that way is because you have to be able to say, "Okay, this is part of my fucking job description as well." But you don't get that shit. But let's continue.
They also have another rule. The highest paid person cannot get more than 8 times the income of the lowest paid person. That's how they solved the problem of inequality. Just gone. Not an issue. There is some inequality. 8 to 1 is still a hefty ratio, but I assume you know that the ratio of corporate CEOs to low-paid workers in American corporations is around 300.
I thought it was 2001, but let's hear the number.
150 to 1.
Oh,
Which
350.
is why we have
Okay.
the inequality that we have. And there are many more examples. A worker co-op would solve its problems in a different way, be a different economic system. Here's an interesting thing. Imagine a corporation confronted with the notion, gee, why are you hiring Americans who you have to pay a large amount of money to? Why don't you move to India? Well, you can pay much less. Capitalist corporation, as you know, has been doing lots of that. Worker co-op? Unlikely. The workers would be voting to destroy their jobs, their company, the benefits to the community of having the jobs there. They're not going to do that.
All right, so low key, like there must be a new virus going around because like this same virus has actually tried to crush my computer. But let's continue.
You wouldn't have seen the exodus of jobs from this country for the last 30 to 40 years. It's really different. Much less inequality, much less loss of the whole, everything would be changed if we were able to have a rational discussion, debate here in the United States about a capitalist economic system versus a worker cooperative system. Maybe we would even be able to imagine an economic system starting out as capitalist, but which makes room for a large worker co-op sector across many industries. And you know what the rationale for it would be? Freedom of choice. Let Americans have the choice. You want to work in a top.
So here, and this is the funny fucking thing. You always hear capitalism gives choice, but do you really have a choice though? Do you really have a choice? And when you're presented with things such as a choice, say like vote for somebody who offers Medicare for all, where everything is paid for at the point of service, and you don't have to worry about, you know, the downsides that come along with it, versus Medicare for those who choose it, who still may not be able to afford the shit. Is that really a choice when you have two shitty choices or two choices of things that you can't really afford? Is that really freedom? You have the freedom to die. What was that congressman says that Republicans' plan for health care is don't get sick, and if you do, die quickly. But yeah, let's continue.
Top-down hierarchical corporation, or would you rather work in a democratic workplace? Would you like to buy from the one? Would you like to, for Americans to have that choice, there has to be a sector. We'd have to spend some money and make room for worker co-ops. And there is a country just doing it right now, committed to doing it anyway. And that'll be my final point, just to make clear that the reality of this is not some fancy in the future utopian dream. The second biggest political party in Great Britain is called the Labour Party. The leader of the Labour Party, a man named Jeremy Corbyn. His party has committed, they're running in a national election right now, his party has committed that and they've run governments before. They're like the Democratic Party here, the Republican here.
So this is 2017. So they, actually, I think the last time they had an election like this, he barely came short of actually, I mean, it was like they have been trying to make sure Jeremy Corbyn does not get any sort of real tangible power, and they failed for so long. But let's continue.
Here is the Conservatives in England. So he's committed that if the Labour Party wins, they'll pass this law. Part one. Any existing business in England can continue as it is, but if it decides to close, and or if it decides to sell itself to another business, and or if it decides to go public to issue shares, it must, before doing any of those things, give its own workers the right of first refusal. That's a legal term, meaning it has to offer to sell itself to its own workers as a co-op before it can do anything else. Part two of the bill answers the question, where would the workers get the money to buy their own firm? Answer, the government will lend it to them. The British are committed to building a worker co-op sector precisely because of the problems, limits, failures of a capitalist system. But the most important thing is not the particular arguments for this. The most important thing is for you to face up to the fact you live in an economic system.
At the end of this game, guys, I'm sorry, I'm tired.
Anything, that is part of an evolving history that has very serious flaws and faults, and that there's an enormous literature, including concrete, real experiences people have had all over the place, in doing better than capitalism.
All right, so we did another 20 minutes. I'm going to do tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow. As of right now, guys, I want to thank everybody who's watched. I want to thank everybody who's enjoyed this stream.